a ton of people are checking out Rival of Aether 2's recent release, hoping to lay a beat down on their friends or, the random newfound enemies from the whims of matchmaking. And I've heard from a lot of people that are giving it a shot as their first taste of the platform fighting genre.
What is that?
But you know what I hear the most? Dude, this game is hard. And they're right. Rivals is a hard game, but it's absolutely worth it. Rivals is an incredibly satisfying game to learn. It's designed in a way that's easy to learn but hard to master. Most of the advanced, high-level stuff is actually simple to do, much easier than in the games that inspired it, like Melee. So the trick isn't in doing the wild movement or tech, it's knowing when to do those things. Rivals lets you get to the fun player versus player decision making way sooner without making you grind hours of practicing techniques from the ancient scrolls first. The devs are hard at work making in-game tutorials, which I'm very excited for. The tutorials in Rivals 1 were excellent, but until those come out, this series should give you a strong foundation to start from. Each video will cover a different topic, like character overviews or advanced movement. But this one is your base layer of that foundation. By the end of the video, you should understand how the game works, have a grasp on the general game mechanics, and know your basic game plan for things like how to combo or get back to stage. First, we're gonna go over the basics of how the game works. If you're looking for straight up a "this is what the different buttons do" video, I highly recommend this one by Izaw. I've linked it in the description. For now, I'm going to assume you know what the buttons do, just not the specifics on when or why to use them. So let's start with your attacks. Every character in Rivals can do a jab, directional tilts, and dash attacks with their attack button. On standard controls before any customization, you can use your right analog stick to do strong attacks in any direction. Tap the stick to do a quick strong or hold it to charge that move. Your jabs and tilts are faster options, while your strongs are good for getting kills. And if you prefer making your right stick do tilts and using a button for strongs instead, you can change that in the controller settings. By the way, if someone says C-stick, they mean right analog stick. Since a lot of people came to Rivals from Smash Bros., a lot of terminology and slang is based on that series and the GameCube controller. Same with saying the A button or B button instead of attack or specials. Don't worry though, you can play on literally whatever controller you like. Top pros from Rivals use a whole host of controllers like Xbox, GameCube, PlayStation, box controllers, and even keyboards. If it plugs in and doesn't have any macros, you can use it in tournament. When you're in the air, you have access to 5 attacks. A neutral air that's done by just pressing the attack button, and 4 directional attacks that are done by pressing up, down, forwards, and backwards on the control stick while hitting attack. You can also do all the directional ones with the right analog stick too. Another quick vocab lesson, you'll hear some shorthand for aerials pretty often. A lot of times, neutral air, forward air, back air, and down air are shortened to nair, fair, bear, and dare. Up air is always up air, because ooh air sounds bad and we don't like it. Where jabs are always faster but weaker than strongs, each character's aerials have different strengths and weaknesses. Some are better for combos, but other are better for kills. And we'll go over why that is later. If you're trying a new character, make sure to test them out and see what you think. In addition to attacks, you also have a bunch of special moves. Everyone has a minimum of 4, a neutral special, and 3 directional ones, because forward and backwards are treated as the same things. But some of these change while you're in the air, so you should check if you're learning a new character. Specials get weird, and it's the time where a lot of personality and playstyle of each character really comes into play. Typically, your up special launches you into the air, which makes it really useful for recovery. Side specials are often a horizontal movement and attack motion. Down special and neutral special are really aggressive. Who knows what you're gonna get. These can differ a ton, and Everything I just mentioned has exceptions to the rules, so make sure to watch the character overview video later so you can get a better idea of what everyone can do. Last in the offensive attacking options are grabs, get-up attacks, and ledge get-up attacks. I'm grouping all three of these together because Rivals 2 is a new mechanic no other game has done before. In most platform fighters, after grabbing someone or getting up from being knocked down, hitting attack is your only offensive option. While grabbing, it'll pummel, and while getting up, it does a get-up attack. But Rivals has added special versions of each of these too. Special pummels do more unique, flashier options that aren't even all attacks. And special get-up or ledge get-up also tend to be slower but stronger, flashier, riskier options. Oh, and then you can throw someone in all four directions after a grab. Easy. Well, actually, it is a little more complicated than that. Let's rewind to talking about normal and special versions of pummels. Choosing which pummel to go for gets interesting, because your opponent can guess which version you're going to do. If they guess right and hit the same button, they'll break out of the grab. So be sure to mix it up. Special pummels might be flashy, but landing either pummel removes a chain grab lockout. So sometimes a normal pummel is exactly what you need to keep a combo going. You can only do one pummel per grab. You're not playing an extended Mario Party minigame here. Rivals is committed to not having any mashing mechanics in the game, so you only get one pummel, and you can't mash to get out of grabs faster. It's on a timer. Don't make a decision fast enough, and you'll do a grab release that resets both of you back to neutral. Okay, so after a grab, you can either throw right away, or you can do a normal pummel or a special pummel, and then throw. Alright? Alright. Now it's easy. I know you've got other buttons like shields and air dodges. Don't worry, I didn't forget. But I'll be talking about those later once we start going over defense. If you enjoy Rivals or any other platform fighting games, I would love for you to check out this video's sponsor, Platfight. Platfight Gaming Championships is an upcoming tournament at the end of the year that's going to be a huge celebration for all the platform fighter communities. I do not know how many times I can say platform fighter in one script. It's got 6 different main titles, including Rivals 2, community side events, a phenomenal team behind it, and it's all in the backyard of Disney and Universal if you're looking to turn it into a full-on vacation. I can't recommend enough attending this event, and if you go to platfight.com, you can use code WISELY for $5 off registration. The tournament is December 13th through 15th, with standard registration closing November 22nd. So make sure you get in early to save a little bit more money. And even if you can't go, try to catch the streams for what's sure to be a sick event. Now that we've learned how all of the movesets work, let's go over the fun part, actually hitting your enemy. Everything from here on out is going to be about your game plan and strategy. So we learned that jabs and tilts are faster and weaker, while strongs are slower but stronger. And this means that your faster options are usually better at starting combos, while the strongs are good for securing the kill. But why would we even want to do all of that? Well, let's take a look at our goal. To win a game of Rivals, you need to take all 3 of your opponent's lives or stocks. To do this, we either need to hit them to the blast zone, or edgeguard them so they fall off the bottom of the stage. Think of each stage like a box. You need to hit the edge of the box to get the stock. In Rivals, everyone starts at 0%, and taking damage makes that number go up. It's not like a traditional fighter where when their health bar gets to 0, you win. As you do more damage, your opponent flies further with each attack. Your goal is to get your opponent to a high enough percent so your stronger moves start killing more consistently. It helps to think of all attacks in 2 very rough categories: combo moves and kill moves. It's definitely oversimplifying it, but it'll help a ton starting out. Your combo moves are fast, but they don't send as far, making them really good for juggling your enemy and chaining them together. You could try using a throw to put them in the air, and then your tilts or aerials to keep them from landing to rack up damage. Catching someone trying to land is a huge goal for most characters, especially anyone with disjoint like Claire and Moxie. People don't have as many defensive options while in the air too, so even if it's not a true combo, keeping your opponent above you puts you in a very advantageous state. Once you've racked up enough damage, try to land a strong or one of your killing areas to take the stock. I've been talking about using your standard attack button attacks, but keep in mind your character's special moves too. Some of them are great at comboing or killing. Something important to remember, taking a stock at 20% is just as good, if not even better, than taking one at 150. So if you have a chance to get an early kill, take it. Hitting someone while they're trying to get back to the ledge is a great way to rack up damage, if not just getting you the stock outright. Don't be afraid to just jump out there and swat them away. But just remember, there's ways to beat or get around all of this aggression too, which means it's time to talk about defense. Don't worry, I'm not gonna let everyone just beat you up willy-nilly. There's a ton of ways to protect yourself. By hitting shield and down at the same time, you'll spot dodge, granting you some invincibility at the cost of being stuck in place for a moment afterwards. It's great at dodging attacks, but it can be punished if you're being predictable. Very, very similar to this is rolling. If you hit shield and left or right, you'll roll with some brief invincibility, with some recovery at the end. If you hit the shield button in the air, you'll perform an air dodge. And the same rules apply. You get invincibility, but you're stuck for a moment afterwards. Air dodges can be done neutrally or in conjunction with the control stick in any direction. The option you're going to see the most, though, is shielding. By shielding, you stop yourself from getting hit by any attack from all angles. But be careful. If your shield takes too much damage, it will break, giving them a big opening. You can see the cracks in the glass bubble as it decays, giving you a heads up that it's getting weak and probably time to find a new way to escape. And when you escape, your shield health can regenerate because it'll do that when you're not actively using it. While shielding, you have a few other options too. Pressing the attack or grab buttons while shielding will perform a shield grab. It's great for when someone is approaching recklessly, but be careful because they can space their attacks around it to be safe. You can also roll or spot dodge by pushing in a direction while you're already shielding. If you want to counterattack someone tapping your shield, you can also jump out of shield, which allows you to use any of your aerials. And finally, an option specific to rivals, if you press special while shielding, you parry. Think of this as a higher risk, higher reward spot dodge. If you parry while your opponent connects with an attack, it'll stun them, letting you get a free hit. And if you parry a projectile, it reflects it right back. You can also set up a parry button in the control menu, which I highly recommend. Having a button will let you parry while moving without needing to shield first. Whiffing a parry has even more end lag than a spot dodge though, so make sure you only use it when you're confident it'll work. Well, alright, eventually you're gonna get hit anyways, so now what? Rivals has a mechanic called Directional Influence, or DI. Basically, the game gives you some input on where you're being sent after getting hit. Imagine a straight line showing the direction you've been hit. By holding perpendicular to that line, you influence the angle you're being sent at a bit. It's not a huge amount, but it is incredibly important for getting out of combos or living longer. By DIing, you'll live so much more. It makes it more difficult to combo you, and you'll straight up survive hits that would have killed you before. The basic game plan in DI is to hold away from your opponent when you're being comboed to try to escape, and then hold into DI towards the corner of the stage to survive killing blows. Colloquially, these are known as combo DI and survival DI. The mix-up, though, that both players need to be aware of is that holding out expecting to be comboed, but then getting hit by a kill move sends you straight to the blast. And if you hold in expecting a killing blow, but then you tank a combo move, you're in for even more damage. When you get hit towards the ground, if you hit the shield button right before you land, you'll perform what's called a tech. Not technique, just tech. It makes you pop back up to your feet with some brief invincibility, actionable much quicker than landing on your back. Teching prevents opponents from hitting you over and over again for free. If you notice you're getting punished hard while landing on stage, make sure you're hitting your tech timings. It's a pretty small window, so don't fret if you miss though. Top players still miss this all the time. When you do tech, if you hold to the side, you'll actually do what's called a tech roll. Make sure that you're mixing up teching in place, tech rolls in both directions, and sometimes even miss tech to keep your opponents guessing on where you'll be next. If you're off stage and get sent towards the wall, you can tech that too. Inputting jump or holding up at the same time will make you do a wall jump attack, while inputting just shield keeps you towards the wall. This is critical for surviving some of the wild off-stage fights in this game, so make sure you're ready to react when the time comes. Alright, okay, you've successfully survived, but how do you get back to the stage? Especially because this is a game with ledge hogging. If someone grabs the ledge and you can't get back to the stage, you're dead. Luckily, you have a lot of tricks available to make it way more difficult for someone to edgeguard you. The most important thing at your disposal is wall jumping. Please remember to wall jump. To wall jump, push towards the wall and hit the jump button. Or if you're used to playing with tap jump on, you can also turn on tap jump wall jumps in your controller settings. Use wall jumps to try to mix up going to ledge and recovering high on the stage to make it even more difficult for someone to edgeguard you. Between wall jumping to ledge, jumping further away so you can use your up B, and all of your aerial drift, you can really throw someone off. Also, remember from earlier how some of the side specials or down specials can give you some horizontal movement? You can use those to actually get to the wall in the first place. And while it's riskier, sometimes you can use a directional air dodge beforehand to get just a little more distance. Combine wall jumps, movement from specials, and air dodges, and you'll be living twice as often as before. There are a few rules to keep in mind for recovery though, and they're very important, whether you're the one getting back to stage or the one trying to do the edge guarding. First, you only get one wall jump per airtime unless you hit someone or get hit. Second, you only get one air dodge before landing. This one's gone even if you do get hit, so be careful. Burning an air dodge early can get you punished even harder sometimes. And finally, you can't wall jump after an up special. Only after down specials or side specials. With more experience, good players usually try to keep track of what options have been burned by their opponent to make getting the edge guard easier. You've only got a certain amount of resources to spend off stage, so make sure you make it count. Finally, we're at the most nebulous but most important aspect of playing Rivals, or about playing any fighting game. It's time to talk about neutral. If you're new to fighting games, neutral is the point in the game where neither player has an advantage, when you're not playing offense or defense. It's when both players are moving around the stage, trying to get a solid hit in. Because of this, stage positioning and stage control is incredibly important. Think about your character's threat zones, the spots where they can feasibly hit at any given moment. For example, Loxodont can hit this range at any moment, while Maple can threaten here with her incredible speed. If you have control of the center stage, your opponent has less room to move around, which limits their options and gives you a better idea of where they're going to go. This is why stage control is so important. Rivals is pretty unique in the Platfighter genre in that every single character has a way to control stage with their elements too. Clarin can put out a force field, or Kane can threaten space with bubble, and Crag can literally make more stage. Everyone has a way to fundamentally change the battlefield, which makes neutral in Rivals a dynamic, fluid thing. What's a dangerous position for Forsburn might be totally safe for Maple. And this is why you should be thinking about the options your opponent has, but also the goals of who you're fighting. Does their character like to kill off edge guards more than killing off the top? For them as a person, do they seem to be playing cautiously, or are they mashing buttons in your face without a care? Do they shield a lot? Are they overextending on edge guards? Having a read on what the other player's trying to go for totally changes the game, and it allows you to be much more effective than swinging at where they happened to be 2 seconds ago. If you think about it like rock, paper, scissors, if you boil it down simplistically, shield beats attack beats grab, and grab beats shield. So if you know they love to shield, you can preempt the entire mix-up. Worth mentioning, being able to move well gives you a huge advantage as you learn the game. Moving quickly and precisely unlocks new combos. It unlocks better defense, and it also gives you more ways to bait your opponent into choosing bad options. I'll be explaining a lot of the movement tech like dash dancing, wave dashing, or shield dropping in one of the future videos in this beginner's guide series. But even without that, just know that being intentional with your decision making will carry you a very long way. So now we've gone over the common character design mechanics in Rivals, as well as giving you some basic options and strategy for offense, defense, recovery, and neutral. Take some time, try to implement what you learned, and don't be afraid to come back and review something if you need it. I've gone over a lot here, especially for someone new, and it's really hard to add in everything you've learned all at once. The next video in this will be an overview of all the different characters, and then I'll finish with some more of the advanced tech, especially some of that movement stuff I was hinting at. Thanks again to Platfight for sponsoring this video. And remember to use code WISELY for $5 off registration or to check out the streams. All right, see ya. I'll catch you in the next one.